Hello everyone, this is Indrajit Ganguly and welcome to your history class. Dear students, in my last videos I have discussed with you many important topics from this chapter. First of all, the condition of Tsarist Russia, then the 1905 revolution. Afterwards, I discussed with you the effects of First World War in Russian society and economy. And you understood that how the First World War led to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II. And finally, the historic 1917 Russian Revolution. In my last video, I have shown you how the new communist government brought changes in Soviet Union, which made it as the first socialist country in the world. Dear students, today I will discuss with you topic number 4.3 from NCERT, Stalinism and Collectivization. In 1924, the Russian president Vladimir Lenin died. Afterwards, Joseph Stalin became the new party president and successor of Vladimir Lenin. Remember students, Lenin introduced socialist ideology in the country, but Stalin successfully implemented the policy of socialism by making Soviet Union as the socialist country. Okay, so the period ruled by Joseph Stalin in Soviet Union is known as Stalinism. The most infamous policy was introduced by Joseph Stalin in Soviet Union was collectivization program. The definition of collectivization can be combining land of various farmers and then performing the agricultural activities on collective basis. Okay students, I hope you could not understand anything from these definitions. So let me tell you a story which help you to understand the context and some important factors which led to the communist government to introduce the collectivization program in Soviet Union. Okay. Remember students, by 1927 and 28, the towns in Soviet Union were facing an acute problem of grain supplies. So we can say that basically there was a food shortages in the Soviet towns. In this situation, the new communist government fixed the prices and ordered the peasantry to sell the grains at the government price. But remember students, the peasantry refused to sell the grains at the government price because they believed that whenever they sold the grain at the government price, there will be no benefit, no profit for them. So therefore, they refused the order of the communist government. In this situation, the party president and head of the country, Joseph Stalin, believed that rich peasants and traders hold the stocks in the hope of higher prices. Now students, it is very important and you have to understand that meaning of that line, that Stalin believed that rich peasants and traders hold the stocks in the hope of higher prices. Okay, let me tell you a story which will help you to understand this topic very easily. Suppose peasants cultivated potatoes, right? But peasants never sold the potatoes to the consumers directly. So peasants sold the potatoes to the traders. Okay, and traders collected all the potatoes. And the traders stored these potatoes in the cold storage or the godown. So in this situation, a trader can do two things. Number one, he can release the potatoes time to time. So whenever the demand created in the market, right? And second thing, he can do that he never released the stock of the potato whenever the demand created, or he can release a very small amount of potato when the demand created. So whenever demand created, he never releases the stock. Whenever the demand increased, he released very few amount of potatoes. And whenever the demand reached its peak, then the traders decided to release all the stock in the hope of higher prices. Remember students, this situation caused price hike of all necessary products. If the supply could not meet the demand, then and the gap between the supply and demand widened, that caused price hike of every necessary goods in the society. And this situation is also known as hoarding and black marketing. So Joseph Stalin also believed that rich peasantry and traders, they hoarded the stocks in the hope of higher prices. Clear? Okay. So in this situation, in 1928, he ordered his party members to the grain producing areas, supervised grain collection and raided the property of kulaks. Remember students, here the Russian word kulaks means well-to-do peasants or rich peasants. Remember student, it is very important for 1 mark question. Okay. So Stalin ordered the party members, so raided the property, basically houses and godowns of the kulaks, because he believed that obviously the rich peasantry and traders, they hoarded the stocks in their houses and godowns. But the party members could not find anything from the houses of kulaks. So in these situations, Stalin decided to introduce his infamous collectivization program in 1929. Remember student, it is very important. The program was introduced in 1929. Okay. Now, Stalin gave an argument that grain shortages were partly due to small size of landholdings. Now, what does it mean? I hope you remember that in the April thesis, Lenin proposed that after the land should be transferred to the peasantry, right? So after the Russian Revolution, the Bolshevik party transferred the land of the nobility, clergy and crown to the peasantry, because they tilled the land, so they became the actual owner of the land. So therefore, many peasants in Russia, they get large, medium and small size holdings of lands. Clear? So just take an example that suppose in an area there are 50 acres of land, okay, and in that area 50 farmers lived. So all these land belong to the 50 farmers. So that means one farmer owned 1 acre of land. So Stalin believed that in a small size of land, a peasant could not produce large amount of grain, and that could not meet the growing population of Soviet Union, right? So Stalin wanted to develop modern farms along with modern machineries. Why so? Because Stalin wanted to produce more to meet the growing population of Russia. Remember students, the initiative of Joseph Stalin is very good, but its implementation was very bad. So so Stalin believed that to implement the collectivization program, it was necessary to eliminate kulaks, because these kulaks can create problem while implementing the collectivization programs. Okay, so in this way, Stalin ordered to take away land from peasants and establish state-controlled large farms. Which means that in April thesis, Lenin transferred the landed property to the peasantry, right? And finally, in 1929, the communist government took away the lands from the peasantry and land became the state property. Just take an example that, suppose I am giving you an example that in an area, there is a 50 acres of land, right? And all the 50 farmers who resided in the area, they belongs to this land. They are the owner of the land. So now the land became the state property. right? And farmers became the employees of this land. And this state-controlled land is generally known as, in the Russian language, kolkhoz. State-controlled large farms, that is known as kolkhoz. The main initiative of this communist government in Soviet Union was that to produce more amount of grains to meet the growing population of Russia, right? So the government ordered that the peasants work on the lands and cultivate, and collective farms profit would be shared. So that is called collectivization. That means the peasantry worked on the lands collectively. So that's why it's collectively cultivation. That is collectivization. The collectively cultivation, which is collectivization. Okay. And whatever the profit will be get from the land, the profit should be shared among the peasantry, and the grain should be transferred to the government. Clear? Now the question is, were people willing for that? I hope you understood that the answer will be no, right? Because peasantry did not wanted the dictatorship which was imposed by Joseph Stalin in Soviet Union. So many peasantry resisted the authorities and they revolted. Therefore, many angry peasants destroyed their livestock. That means they killed their animals, buffaloes, oxen, and the other animals. So there is a statistics that by 1929 and 31, the number of cattle fell by 1/3. And those who resisted were severely punished, deported, and exiled. Remember, students, Joseph Stalin imposed dictatorship in Russia. So those peasantry who decided to oppose the Russian government, then these peasantry were brutally punished. They were deported, and some people were even exiled to the coldest region of Siberia, where the temperature is around -10 to 20 degrees Celsius. So you can believe that what type of dictatorship was imposed by Joseph Stalin in Soviet Union. But unfortunately, the collectivization program was a disaster, is a failure, because production did not increase immediately. The bad harvest of 1930 led to one of the most devastating famines in the Soviet history, when over 4 million died. So you can understood that the impact of the collectivization program. Many party members criticized the initiative of Joseph Stalin, and they criticized the collectivization program. Remember, student, Joseph Stalin totally disagreed these party members and called his own party members as the betrayer of the country. So this is the program of collectivization program. These are the features, context of the collectivization program, features and impact of the collectivization. Okay, now students, I am moving into the topic number 5, that is global influence of the Russian Revolution and the USSR. It is the last topic of this chapter. Okay, let's have a look on the how the Russian Revolution influenced the other parts of the world. Remember, students, in my earlier class I have told you that socialism and communism is just like a virus, contagious virus. And many of the European countries and even America feared in the growth of socialism, and they believe that if Russia affected by the socialism, then it will automatically affect the other parts of Europe and even to Asia. So therefore, that's why I hope you know that after the Russian Revolution, they supported the non-Bolsheviks to overthrow the Bolshevik party, and which caused civil war in Russia. I hope you remember these things. But the problem is the virus affected many parts of the Europe, and the success of the Russian Revolution influenced the other parts of Europe and even Asia to adopt the socialist ideology. And by this, in many countries, the communist parties were formed. Example, the Communist Party of Great Britain and Communist Party of India. An international union of pro-Bolshevik socialist party was formed, that is the formation of Comintern. Remember student, Comintern is an international organization which advocated the socialism, or we can say communism. Okay, next. Bolshevik encouraged the colonial people to follow their experiment to fight against imperialism. I have told you that the Russian Revolution inspired the Asian continent also. As you all know that the Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, they all are part of the colonial government, right? They all are the part of the colonial government like Great Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, and many more. So the Russian Revolution inspired the Asian countries to overthrow their colonial government, and it inspired them to fight against the imperialism of the colonial government. So Russian Revolution became inspiration for these Asian countries. Okay, and next, by the time of the outbreak of Second World War, the USSR had given socialism a global face and world stature. Remember students, after the Second World War, many European countries, the condition of the many European countries affected by the Second World War. The countries like England, France, Germany, they were severely affected by the Second World War. So after the World War II, two countries existed in the world. Number one, that is United States of America, and number two, that is Soviet Union. So after the Second World War, that is ended in 1945, the world divided, or we can say polarized, between two groups. One group is led by America and another group is led by socialism. So we can say that after the Second World War, there was a two boss in the world. One is America, another one is Soviet Russia. So these competition between America and Soviet Russia led to the Cold War in international politics. Remember students, the Cold War existed till 1991. So you can understood that the expansion of the Cold War from 1945 to 1991. Remember students, it is not in your syllabus, so I am not giving you a vast discussion about it. Whenever you choose history or political science in your higher studies, you will get more knowledge about the Cold War. This is it for today. In my next classes, I will provide you question answers, class notes, activities, and map work. Thank you and have a nice day.